Hello. Number one, hope that this doesn't get taken down because I don't know. Does Roblox do things like that? Number two, I've been thinking about mouth washing, and I've been thinking about now that I'm done the game, I can think of everything as a whole. And that last part, I was so like everything I thought I thought everything was so clear to me in the beginning. Not clear. I knew that things were like getting mixed up, but I didn't think that it was as mixed up as it was because that whole scene with Anya, her locking herself in the medical room with Curly, because when I was playing, I thought that she locked it because she was gonna kill Curly, but she ended up killing herself. And then take that. I didn't take that information because in my head, I was so like convinced that Anya was gonna kill Curly because in my head, I don't know why I was like, yeah, that's gonna happen. I don't know why I thought that like, yeah, kill Curly because he's taking the medicine, right? But I guess it was after the crash. They're all gonna die anyway. But it was like 2 months after the crash. I don't know. Everything was just so up in the air. But what I was getting to is that I thought the whole time that Anya was going to kill Curly because I don't know. I just thought that was the logical thing to do. So when she said, and then I was so confused. I remember in the game I was confused because Anya was like, "I'm doing what you told me to do," and when I heard that the first time, I was I thought that Curly. No, I know. I thought that Jimmy told Anya to kill Curly, but like I thought she was referencing to when you feed Curly the painkillers the first time, and then Anya is like freaking out in the living room, right? And then you go to her, and then Jimmy starts talking about, oh, there's like so much medicine, and we're giving it all to him, or like there's only so much medicine, and we're giving it all to him. I thought then that I thought then that Jimmy wanted Curly to die. That's why I thought that Curly was just gonna end up getting killed then. But and then after that, when he fed his pills the second time, those noises that was like it sounded like Jimmy was killing Curly. I thought Jimmy was killing Curly then. So there was this image in my mind that I was like, oh, Jimmy wants Curly to die. But Anya doesn't kill Curly. Anya kills herself. So that means that what Jimmy told Anya to do was to kill herself. And surely that happened when Anya told told Jimmy that she was pregnant, and he was like, "Oh, kill yourself." Because back then it wasn't a crash. They thought that they would arrive and have a life after the ship. No. So Jimmy told Anya to kill herself. I assume so that cause there's like a lot of days left on the ship. No, there's 200 some days left. So Anya, the crash. She told Curly it was what? Like all of the scenes from before the crash were like 7 months before the crash, 6 months before the crash. But she didn't look pregnant. Oh, so I don't know. Either way, Anya being pregnant and it being because of Jimmy, and then Jimmy told Anya to kill herself. It's because she either has to give birth on the ship, no, or do like an abortion, an unsafe abortion, or kill herself. And Anya said to Curly, no, you won't give me the gun to protect myself. So she wanted to make sure that Jimmy wouldn't get it either. That was before she told Jimmy that she was pregnant. She hid the gun because she didn't want Jimmy to have it. Because she thought in her head that Jimmy would take the gun and kill her to get rid of the baby and her. Jimmy doesn't give a fuck about her. Clearly, if he's assaulting her multiple times, if she told Curly and Curly was like, oh no, I can't give you the gun to protect yourself even though Jimmy is assaulting you. Huh? And then I remember that scene with Swansea after after Swansea had to kill Daisuke, and then Jimmy started blaming him. Jimmy started being insane. He started being like, you guys never think I could fix everything. I could fix everything. And Swansea said, Anya's been telling me crazy things. And I was like, oh, what did she tell you? So she told both Curly and Swansea that Jimmy was assaulting her, and neither of them did anything. Clearly, neither of them did anything. Because figuring out that Jimmy crashed the ship, and not Curly, was so. Because I thought, well, I wanted to know really badly when I thought that it was Curly. I wanted to know why. Because he was thinking of getting out. So I was like, why? Like, maybe he like came to the conclusion that there's no getting out. That everything's just gonna end up with him feeling like it's not enough. Like, that's where I was heading. That's where I thought that it was gonna reveal that like Curly had like this mental breakdown, and he like crashed the ship to like escape, the reality of living where you do things and they don't. Like, it all ends up feeling like it's unfulfilling, and you're always trying to find something better, but there is know better. Like maybe he came to that kind of realization. Like what Swansea was talking about like he wanted he like had a wife and had sons, but the best days of his life were when he was drunk and he was like in the midst of his addiction, which is a pretty okay. Now that I think about it, that would be a really bad message to have. But anyways, that's what I thought was going on when I thought that Curly crashed the plane, and I really wanted to, cause before I knew that Jimmy did it, it really was like it makes sense that Jimmy did it because it wasn't making sense when I thought that Curly did it because Curly is always like, oh, I'll fix it, I'll handle it. And there was that whole scene about Jimmy talking about how like no matter what happens, things will go bad for Curly. That was basically what he was saying. He was like, no matter what happens, things are gonna go bad for you. And then he crashed the plane. But that, it didn't click to me until I thought about it later. That he was talking about Anya being pregnant. I, when Jimmy was saying that whole thing about like all of our accomplishments, everything, it's gonna go down the drain after this, or we can die as like a crew, like an unfortunate crew, going down in history as like this really bad thing that happened. But Curly will still be seen as like the valiant captain, no matter what happens. And he's like, I'll fix things, and he crashes the plane, the ship. So number one, Jimmy, the whole, because that was after their talk. That was after their talk where Curly was like, I want to find more than this. And Jimmy started like hating on him, being like, oh, you're at the top of the ladder now. There's nowhere else for you to go. So you want to leave. That was, he crashed the plane after that talk. So I'm thinking he was he was in his head about like Curly's gonna be gone, and I don't know what he was like, whether it was because he was scared that like Anya had to have the baby because there's no way for her to get an abortion on the ship safely, and by the time they're back, they land, it'll be like too far into her pregnancy if she doesn't give birth on the ship to like even have an abortion. So in his mind, it was this baby, like this baby was going to be part of his life, and it was going to be attached to him. And he was threatening Curly that it would also be attached to him, right? Because he was like, our accomplishments and our everything that we've accomplished is going to go down the drain, and your feet are in cement. So he was like, you're attached to this no matter what happens. Your name is going to be attached to this. So you're in just as much shit as I am. So he was trying to convince Curly, let me crash the plane, crash the ship. And he and Curly agreed with him. No, in the he was like, your feet are in cement, and Curly was like, yeah, yeah, that's what it's like. So he so Jimmy crashes the ship, and then Curly runs after him, and when he gets into the cockpit, it crashes. That's why he's ended up like that, and that's why it felt like he was the one that crashed the ship. But we were playing as Jimmy in the beginning. But Jimmy is talking about Curly like he, right? Or did he not? I don't know. Maybe I have to watch again. Man, Jimmy's such a horrible person. Like, oh my god. I genuinely, what, before I thought about it, before I thought about this game after it ended, I was like, Jimmy, the position that Jimmy's in, like taking over as leader after like the captain is gone. I was like, that's such a complicated position to be in. But he is just so like just a horrible person. Because also the whole scene with Daisuke, because back then I thought that Anya still wanted to kill Curly. I thought that Anya still wanted to kill Curly so that when Daisuke went into the vents and there was like some man screaming, I thought that it was Curly because Anya was attacking him. And then Daisuke landed in the room and he was like, Anya, what have you done? I thought that. But I just didn't think about it after because that's why I shouldn't have played like 20 minutes at a time because the story was getting like it didn't click for me. But damn, because I thought that since the screaming was Curly, that Daisuke was fine in the vents, and then something happened after he got in the room. I thought Anya was going on a rampage, and then I don't know when it was revealed that she like killed herself. I just didn't make the other connections. So Daisuke really got hurt in the vents. Yeah, obviously. And that was after Jimmy was like guilt tripping him to go into the vents. Because Daisuke was like, we should wait for Swansea to wake up. We should wait for Swansea to wake up. And I was agreeing. I was like, we should wait for Swansea to wake up. Because Jimmy was like, oh, he was saving the one cryostasis pod for himself. And back then, I also believed that Swansea was doing that, but even then, I was like, Jimmy, you're kind of doing too much. Like you're assuming the worst. And Swansea was, and Daisuke was like, no, Swansea wouldn't do that. And Swansea was saving it for him. Uh, man, that's crazy. Because you know that Swansea definitely wasn't saving it for himself. He said it. He said, I have everything I need here. Damn. What a good game. It's a really, like, I wish I played it in one sitting, but I'm too much of a baby. I think I need to watch my playthrough again, but like as a whole. But I'm gonna be so stupid throughout it, so moving on. But there was one part where I was watching it before while I was uploading on YouTube, and I saw Daisuke on the ground, and I just walked past him like I was playing the game, and I didn't see him there, so I didn't talk to him. So I need to find someone playing it and figure out what happened there. Poor Anya, man. Fucking Jimmy was so mean to her too. I remember. He was so mean to Anya. And Anya was just, God, she was probably so scared. He was the captain, and she kept having to ask him to feed Curly the pills. Damn. Because she was traumatized on that plane. She's being asked, because she's been doing it for the last 2 months, and she's been asked to like shove pills down his throat. It's so, like, after being assaulted, it's just so crazy. Like, Jimmy's the worst, and he started getting so pissed at her because she couldn't do it, and she kept asking him to do it. Like, damn, do it yourself. And he was like, we all agreed to keep Curly alive. But when he said that the first time, it sounded like he didn't want Curly to be alive. But he made Daisuke climb through the vents just to save Curly. He didn't give a fuck about Anya. Even though he knew that he never told Anya to kill Curly. He knew that he told Anya to kill herself. So why would he be worried about Curly in that moment? Just weird. Just weird. And the whole ending of like, oh, I fixed it. You're safe. I fixed it. Like, why would Curly want to be frozen in that state and then wake up 20 years later in that state? Just major cope. I seriously think that he started like developing schizophrenia or something. Like, he was definitely going insane. Like, that is a ridiculous amount of guilt to carry. But it didn't even seem like he was. It didn't even seem like he cared about his role in it. He was deflecting the entire time. He was deflecting, he was pushing this narrative of, I'm the one that's doing everything. I'm the one that's doing everything. But the game was all about him taking responsibility because he refused to. He killed literally everyone before taking responsibility. He killed everyone and then apologized to Curly about making a mistake. Like, jeez. Like, he tied up Swansea on a chair and shot him in the head. He said, God, I hate Jimmy. I hate Jimmy. Just a horrible, horrible person. God, I feel so bad for Anya. I feel like I should play the game again, but I don't really want to. Maybe I'll just watch someone else play it. Because it was honestly shorter than I thought it would be. But I mean, it's a good game. And I got like a very little amount of achievements, so maybe I will play it again just to get those. Oh, whatever. Good game. Nice game. I like that game. But I need a happier game. Maybe I'll play Persona or something. I should finish Disco Elysium, but whatever. Anyway, I hope this thing stays up. And like YouTube doesn't copyright strike it. Bye bye.